snap back to the
All right, we live.
All right, y'all. What's good, everybody? Peace and blessings. Welcome to Goat James Kingdom Show with B Lee and Ajani as we go live every Sunday, noontime Eastern, to talk basketball and obviously the Goat Talk. Today's episode is a special episode. We always bring the good stuff to you guys. We love talking the GOAT conversation. We love it. You know what I'm saying? As you guys know, LeBron James is the GOAT over here in our platform. But there's always been this notion about everybody's criteria or just the whole conversation of being the GOAT or who is the GOAT is subjective. There's no real way to be unbiased. But we are challenging ourselves today to actually make an unbiased, completely non-subjective top 10 NBA list based off of the top 10 that most people have, which is usually Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain. So Brandon and I have challenged each other to come up with two different criterias that would be the most non-biased. Okay. And again, we say the most non-biased because we would love to see if anybody else could challenge us and come up with something that's more non-biased. But we've been challenged here, guys. Brandon, people say that we can't be non-biased. They say that there's impossible for us to be non-biased, that we have no choice but to be objective. But to be subjective, and we can't be objective in this conversation. So, what I'm gonna do is what I normally do. Okay, mute Quinn right quick.
What's up, man?
What's good, Quinn?
Yo.
All right.
Hey, I'm sorry, got Kansas City is in town. You know, I got my business set up over here, so there might be some background noise.
We got you. We got
Patty Mahomes is here, bro.
Yeah, we gonna put you on mute though until you get a chance to speak. All right.
Do your thing, brother. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, man. All right. So I start off with my criteria first. So basically, I know how I do. I like to rank things in a ranking system. So this is my criteria. This is my non-biased criteria right here for the GOAT conversation. All right. So we're gonna start off with accolades and achievements. All right. We're gonna start off with championships, right? The rings. Everybody knows that that's the most important thing. That's what everybody always says, right? That the championships matters the most. So if you have a championship ring, you get 5 points for each championship ring that you have. Then from there, if you don't win the champion, what's the next best thing that you can do as a player? Well, that's the league MVP. So if you get any league MVPs, you're going to get 4 points for that. And then what would be the next thing if you're not the MVP and you're not the champion, right? It would be making the All NBA selection and being one of the best players in the league. So All NBA will get you 3 points. After that, we will take the All Defensive selections, the All-Star selections, Finals MVPs, Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year, and give 2 points for each one of those accolades and achievement that a player has. And then the last one will be seasonal awards and All-Star Game MVP. Those will be, 1 point each for whatever seasonal award, whether it's an assist title, a scoring title, rebounding, block, or steals title. The tiebreaker of all of this will be the amount of conference titles, or the amount of times you went to the finals, or the playoffs if that's tied. All right. And then we're going to do the statistics, which is basically going to be an easy system. We're going to rank the 10 players from 1 to 10 by where they rank in each statistical category, which is points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. And we're going to count the regular season average, the postseason average. We're going to count the regular season totals and the postseason totals. And the tiebreaker will be for average will be the 100th decimal. Okay, that's the 2 digits removed from the decimal to your right. Okay, so Michael Jordan will be placed as number 1 instead of Wilt Chamberlain and him being tied. So he'll be number 1, and number 2 will be Wilt Chamberlain for those that like to complain. Now, I know we have Chad here and we have a Quinn here. Is there anything here that y'all see that would be completely biased or any kind of bias? Brandon, you can chime into as far as what I'm bringing to the table under my criteria.
No, that's pretty legit.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's a criteria that objective. This is what happened. Is this the evidence? It's the facts.
Okay. So yeah, so like we said, we're trying to be as non-biased because prior to this, we did our top 20 list, Brandon and I. But Brandon and I do have a subjective criteria that falls in there, which is a game impact and what a player means to the league and all the stuff about the level of competition, the eye test, aggression, mentality, all these things that we really can't measure with actual, basketball, accolades and acumen. So this is why we chose these categories, because it is basically what you can determine and what you can use. So this is what I did. So from there, I don't know who was going to be the top 10 and where they were going to land. I just know that these are the categories that we're going to use. So we're going to start off with the first thing, which is the statistical categories for regular season. And for the regular season statistical categories right here, this is how they ranked. All right. So if you look at it, the left side is what they got for the regular season per game average, where they ranked all of the rankings from points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And then on the right is the regular season totals and what they scored. So again, if you was first place in the ranking, you get 10 points. And if you're last place, you get 1 point. And it goes in order as that works. Now, the thing about this is that Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain do not have blocks and steals recorded. So what I did to make it fair for them, because there's several awards that they couldn't win because it wasn't available during their era, is that I basically made Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell 1 and 2 in blocks and per games and for the totals, because I believe everyone here agrees and everyone would agree that both Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell would average over 4 blocks per game, or at least 4 blocks per game, and average at least 3 steals per game each, which would make them number 1 and 2 in those categories. So I basically made Wilt number 1 in blocking, and I made Bill Russell number 2. Number 2 in blocking, and then I made Bill Russell number 1 in steals, and Wilt Chamberlain is number 2 in steals. So these are all their numbers as you add them up for the regular season. Then we go to the postseason. All right, this is the postseason. This is the postseason per game average and the postseason totals. To the left is the average, to the right is the totals. This is what they accumulate as far as their points and rankings in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. All right, and this is where their numbers come up to when we do just the playoffs. All right. And then the next category, obviously, is the accolades and achievements. So let's go to that. So this is the accolades and achievement. To the left is the total amount of accolades that the players got, the ones that were listed on my criteria. And to the right is the actual points that are accumulated from the amount of accolades that they have. So you can see the amount of accolades that everybody has from the ones that I listed, and you can see what they scored with that. So when you do the whole total, when everything comes together, when you add all these 3 numbers that we put together, this is my non-biased top 10 list of all time. So off the top, number 1 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He scored 290 points total, which makes him number 1 overall with this criteria. Second will be LeBron, who did 280 in points. Third would be Michael Jordan. He has 276. Bill Russell will be 4th. He has 274. Wilt Chamberlain is 5th with 260. Kobe and Tim Duncan are tied at 235, but because Kobe Bryant went to 1 more final than Tim Duncan, he breaks the tie right there. So that gives him the number 6 spot, and Tim Duncan goes to 7. Shaq goes to 8th with 197. Then Larry Bird is 9th with 195 points, and Magic rounds it off at number 10 with 192 points total. So this is all of their accolades, stats, and everything put together, and it's basically going up against one another, because that's how the statistical ranking went. But as you can see, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a lot of people always have him as the greatest player of all time. If there is no biases, because with my bias, I don't even have him in my top 5. So so you know what I'm saying? So being non-biased, this is who you have. Again, I don't even have Kobe in my top 10. So you know what I mean? So and I have Larry Bird and Magic in my top 5. So obviously my biases change a lot of things when it comes to this scenario. But y'all let me know what y'all think and what I came up with, and we'll see what's next with Brandon, because Brandon has a good criteria also.
Yeah, this is a good list. It's funny that you got Bird ahead of Magic, and you always say Magic's ahead of Bird, which is funny. And then you don't have Kobe in the top 10, but he ranked above 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. He did. He did.
Yeah, one thing I was doing when I was doing mine was, it's close. it's similar to mine's, but mine's is different as well. So I went into like more detail with mine's. I went
Yeah,
into a lot of detail. I actually changed it up from when we talked about it. So it was different. I added more stuff because you know
there's a
I
lot
was
of
just
stuff.
listed like stuff that people want to see. So I appeal to Jordan fans basically.
Okay, I got you. I got you. What up, Chad? Go ahead, Chad. What you think of the list, man? What do you think of the criteria list? Everything?
It looks good.
Yeah,
Not my
I know.
list, but it looks good.
Yeah, I know you're one of those that don't believe in the greatest of all time conversation because, like you said, it's an all time thing, and we're still playing, and the NBA hasn't
Hmm.
ended. And we've had people state that before because, again, we all these players are great, right? We are. If you're a real basketball fan, you could appreciate every last player on this list and what they contributed to the game. But like I said, I have my biases, and we all do, and that's why we said let's try to figure out a way to take away the biases, which we all know is it's hard to measure like leadership, right? Because the reason I have Magic in front of Bird is because of leadership. I think Magic is just a better leader than Larry Bird. But
I
Larry
know
Bird's
Bird's a pretty good leader.
no, that's what I'm saying. They all are, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying. When you measure it, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's like okay, yeah, Bird is a winner, but he has
Yeah,
two less he
you
has two
might
less
put Magic
championships.
number one. You might put Magic number one as a
But
leader. Yeah.
yeah, to me, if there was a ranking, Magic would be number one. He would get the 10 points for
Hmm.
leadership. That would be my way of ranking it. But again, that's subjective, right? Because somebody could say,
Yeah.
nah, I like somebody else. Somebody could say Michael Jordan's the best leader, right? They could say Kobe, right? We just showed a video of Kobe running through Paul Gasol in the Olympics. So it's like people could say, hey, Kobe's a real leader. That's what a leader's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
hey Quinn, you want to chime in? Quinn, you see this top 10? He can't hear. He over there
I
having
think I think he talked to somebody.
he's having too much fun,
Yeah.
boy. It's football Sunday, baby. but basically, like I tell people, this is for me, this is the best way to be non-biased because you can't take away nothing. I know some people are gonna say, why you put finals MVP here or scoring title there and this, that, and the third. But like I tell people, all NBA actually matters. It's all that is matters. So if you have the all NBA team, that's actually better than the all defensive team. For me, I would put them both together. But when you go look at who makes the all NBA and who's on the all defensive team, and being
Yeah.
that the all defensive team is really just one category, all NBA represents your whole body of work and what you bring to the table. So and obviously, seasonal awards are great, but it's not like making the all-star team. It's not like being on the all defensive team. It's not like being rookie of the year or defensive player of the year or winning the finals MVP. So I felt that the ranking as far as the point system go was fair and unbiased. It didn't lead towards any one player. It just led to what would be
Hmm.
the greatest categories any player would be able to achieve. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So Quinn is serious, boy. He's at the game for real. So I guess I guess like I said, that is my take. That's my list. Let's
Hmm.
let Brandon come up because Brandon is way much more intricate than me and he has way much more to offer. So let's see what Brandon got. Go ahead, Brandon. It's on you.
All right. So when I was doing my PowerPoint, I could see that some of the slides didn't really come out. So what I did was did the greatest NBA career as the greatest player. So I looked at their career, not just the subjectiveness that ESPN did, like listed Oscar Robertson in the top 10 with no MVPs and no Finals MVPs. So I don't even know how that's even possible. But when I was thinking about this, like, how do we rank the best players of all time? Like, what categories should we use? So for me, I use the categories of the all-time greatest accomplishments. So like the points per game, the assists, the rebounds, the blocks, the steals. All of these are the benchmark to who's the greatest. And then when we go to totals, I didn't use Kareem. I mean, not Kareem, but Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain rebounds because I believe that's just unfair for everyone to be ranked off of 25,000 rebounds in a career or 25 rebounds a game. So I just used our current players. I used Kareem's totals. I used
Mhm.
Dennis Rodman's average, which was 13.12. I used Barkley's average in a postseason, and I used Tim Duncan's total in a postseason. So our like modern day players,
Mhm.
instead of using the 50s and 60s totals, which is, not realistic for players today.
Okay, so
But,
you even took out people like Walt Bellamy and because those guys I think averaged more than Rodman. Am I correct? There was some players.
So I just used the like modern day, rebounds. But Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain still got, the highest score because they have the most.
Okay.
Then with advanced, I use all the advanced stats, the top stats. Then I use the awards. I use all NBA teams, all defensive teams, all-star teams. Whoever got MVP, their total is multiplied by 2. And what I did differently was I used the defensive player of the year, all-star games, the sport news MVP, rookie year award titles like rebounds and scoring titles as bonus points. Like those are bonus points. Like Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain have the most like awards, so they get bonus points because they have scoring titles, rebound titles. Just looking at it, Tim Duncan did not have any of those award titles. LeBron only have 2, so they have the advantage because of what they did throughout the season, because they get those extra bonus points.
Okay.
And then the postseason, this is Jordan's number 1 points, Magic assists, rebounds is Charles Barkley, blocks is I believe it's Hakeem. Steals is actually Baron Davis, but he has the most steals all time in the postseason.
Get out of here.
So
get out of here.
That's the totals, the advance. So what I did was I used their like percentage to see how far they are within, the top spot. For instance, LeBron James is 90% of the score up to Jordan, so he gets a 9. So Jordan gets a 10 because he, is the all-time in scoring, and Wilt Chamberlain gets a 10 as well in the regular season. But in the postseason, Jordan gets a 10 because he's an all-time, and whoever, percent, I just multiplied that percentage by 10 to basically get a whole number. So I did this, the accomplishments, the finals, the titles. The titles is more points is times 1.5, and the finals MVP is times 2. So you get more points for winning the title and winning the finals MVP. So with that, I took all the overall scores from the regular season, totals, advance, averages, awards, and you get the greatest regular season player of all time. And then the postseason, I do the same thing. You get the greatest postseason of all time. And then after that, I added both of them to get who is the greatest player of all time or the greatest career. So I did all those calculations. So as you're going to see, these calculations are crazy. So these are the players that I included. I included 12 because 14 players, it's 14 players qualify for my my criteria. So you have to have multiple titles, multiple MVPs / finals MVPs. So a lot of, like you have to at least have one regular season MVP and at least one finals MVP. So only 13 players have that.
Who's the other 2 that's not on the list right now? You said 14.
Steph Curry is on there, and Hakeem Olajuwon, which was not on the original top 10. But I took out Oscar Robertson because he doesn't have multiple. Like he doesn't even have one regular season MVP or finals MVP. So he does not qualify as being one of the greatest players of all time. You have to have at least one of those. And the only player who has that is Kevin Durant, but he's not included.
Okay, so Kevin Durant, and who's the other player? You
said it's just Steph Curry and Hakeem is added.
You added them, but you said there was 14 because there's 12 here.
No, it's 13. My bad. It's 13.
Okay. So Kevin Durant would be the other one.
Yeah, and he wasn't included because he jumped on Steph Curry's bandwagon, so I just didn't include him. So
your bias is showing like a motherfucker.
It ain't no bias because Steph Curry would be higher because Steph Curry has more titles, more regular season MVP. So he wouldn't be higher than any of these players. Period. I just didn't want to do all the work for him.
That's good. That's unbiased. Then you can have Lou Alcindor and Magic Johnson in your top 10 if you're going to do Kevin Durant like that.
See?
No, I'm just saying, like he doesn't qualify because Steph Curry has more titles. He will be last. What's the point of doing all that work for someone who's going to be last? That's what I'm saying. He's not going to be ahead of anybody.
I mean, again, I also wanted to do more than 10, and maybe we could do that to the show and do the thing. But I get what you're saying. But let's continue because
it's just one extra player. I didn't want to do all that work for one extra player.
But Chad is right though, because in reality, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 5 championships with Magic, and Magic won 5 championships with him, and it's kind of hard to say who was really the You know what I mean? But that's where the subjectiveness falls in at right there. That's where it all falls in right there.
I don't really care about that. I'm just not doing all that damn work for Kevin
No,
Durant.
I
All
got
right.
you, but it's a good thing you added Stephen Curry and Akeem, because I've had people comment saying that Stephen Curry or Kareem should have been in the top 10 list, and they were saying like knocking Tim Duncan out. One person said knock Tim Duncan out, and I believe the other person was Shaq. But go
Okay.
ahead,
All
but
right.
go ahead, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Let me go ahead and get started. So when
Yeah,
we go to the regular season averages, we got Wilt Chamberlain as number one. He has the most points. He's 39% of the assist player that Magic Johnson was. So he get 3.9 rebounds. He's well over the standard, and his total was a 7.97. So as we see, Hakeem Olajuwon is number two, which was a
wow,
shock. Bill Russell is third, Kareem fourth, Magic fifth, tied with Bird, tied with Magic, and LeBron James is right behind with number eight. So that's how this shapes out. And Kobe is actually last,
Kobe
which
is
was
last.
a shock.
That
Kobe
that
was
is a
last,
that is a shock, and
and
even and
yeah.
Magic, for Magic being high, kind of high too. But wow,
Yeah, it's the regular season averages. Magic Johnson had 138 triple doubles. That's not a shock.
yeah, okay,
His averages is pretty high, and this is the five main categories.
yeah,
All right,
ah,
so we go to the totals, which is no shock. Kareem is number one. He scores a perfect on the points and rebounds. Blocks is 8.3. Assists is down, steals is down, but overall, Wilt Chamberlain number two. That's not a shock there. They should be one or two. Hakeem is number three. Hakeem Olajuwon was a beast. He's
he
up there
was,
with wow.
he
And Tim
was,
Duncan,
he was.
Bill Russell, you know, LeBron's number four. He's still making his way up there. And Jordan's number eight. Kobe number nine. Magic's 11. He's played fully 12 full seasons, and then you got Steph at the bottom, which is no shock. He's usually in the bottom of most of these. All right, then we go to advanced stats, which is LeBron is the king of doing everything. So his advanced stats is always going to be higher than everybody because that's why a lot of people consider him the greatest because of what he does on the court. And we see what he does on the court with the advanced stats. Then you got Michael Jordan is, number three. He's close with Wilt Chamberlain. Kareem's fourth. Steph Curry's last again, of course. This is where Hakeem drops down to 11th. And Bird and Kobe. Kobe was a few percentage points ahead of Bird, but that's how we are there. All right, now let's go to the regular season awards. This is also no shock that Kareem's number one. You get the most bonus points for the MVPs. Wilt and Michael is neck and neck. There are a few percentage points between each other. Michael Jordan, had all of these extra awards for bonus points with Wilt Chamberlain, but overall, Kareem was just ahead of them.
Wow, Kareem.
Yeah, someone said there's so many biases in this thread.
That's me.
Whatever.
That's me commenting in there. Somebody
Uh,
said this is a guy that I argue with a lot before you go. He says the point system may not be biased, but it is arbitrary. If you weighed things differently, the results. See, this guy's always come with some extra stuff. Then he says you can't compare per game averages because one-on-one because of the pace of the game. So there goes the subjectiveness. You see, they have to intrude with their biases. They can't just accept things as they are. They have to try to develop some other crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's why I took that extreme pace from the 50s and 60s out, and they still get the points for it. But still, we're going to use what people love, the like modern day players, which is I don't think is a problem with that. All right, so now we're going to go to the regular season champ. So who ranks in the top of the regular season in all the categories? So you can see all the Kareem categories. He ranked number one. Wilt Chamberlain is right behind him. I figure Wilt Chamberlain will be the top person. Michael Jordan ranks
He would
above
be.
LeBron. I
Mhm.
thought Wilt Chamberlain would, but it was Kareem. Kareem, he has amazing stats. The advanced stats really help Kareem out as well. But Jordan is third. Jordan is number one in the modern day players in the regular season. LeBron is right behind him with a few percentage points behind him. And Tim Duncan is actually six higher than Kobe and Shaq. Well, Steph Curry is last because I don't believe he's nowhere near the top 10 yet. I think he's like 15, 16. So, but I
I
just
mean,
included him.
it shows here, right? Because the lowest is 28 at 11, then it goes down to 21.
Yeah. I
And,
mean,
and listen, if you probably added Karl Malone on this list, it would probably change. There's some players you can add, but it's definitely there's definitely some shockers here for me.
yeah, it's in the like regular season, but in the postseason, it's the problem because with the postseason comes those players who never won anything, they don't have a chance, and those players who won less, they don't really have a chance. You have to have Finals MVPs, been to the finals a lot, titles. So the regular season is the reason why. I mean, the postseason, just like in every sport, makes you a greater player.
Okay,
so this is the regular season. So let's
go
go
to the
ahead.
postseason. Let's
Let's go to the postseason. All right. So we go to averages. It is Hakeem Olajuwon in the categories.
Wow.
I know you all have been saying that he should be in the top 10. I said, he should be right outside, but this has completely changed my mind on where he's at.
I have him 11.
You had him above Shaq, I thought.
No.
You did? Oh, I thought
no.
You
He's he's actually 11th on my list. He's 11th.
Okay.
He's 11th.
Yeah, but man, Hakeem is a beast.
Yeah.
You got averages, LeBron and Jordan. They're basically tied, but I did a few percentage points, but Michael Jordan and LeBron and the averages are basically tied. That's how good those two are. They're 1A and 1B in postseason averages.
And Bill Russell's up high too.
And then for some reason, the averages with Kobe, I'm just thinking about his early years, why he's, lower on the list. Kobe is, but but that's Kobe, he's still a beast. But Magic and Bird is tied. Magic's ahead of Kareem in averages. Tim Duncan's ahead of Shaq. All right, so let's go to totals. So we go to totals. I think it's no shock that LeBron number one. He's top 10 in all the 5 categories. So he's going to be number one. But the biggest shot was Tim Duncan to me. Tim Duncan was number 2. People put him in the top 10. And, as we see, as he's go older, like is up in these, statistical categories and the awards. Wilt Chamberlain totals are high until he played Boston. That's when they went down. But before he played Boston, he was probably number 1 in everything. All right, so Jordan is where's Jordan at? Number 8 in totals.
Okay.
All right.
All
right. So let's go to advanced stats. Always, LeBron's going to be number 1. He's the king of doing everything. Michael Jordan number 2, which is no shock. Though players are 1A and 1B in most categories. LeBron, he's a significantly higher than Jordan at least. But then you got Steph at number 11. Kobe is up a little bit higher. Magic is pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on. Before you go, I'm gonna make sure people understand what they're seeing, what they're looking at. Okay. So when you see the per up there, you see that it says 28.6. That's the highest. That's Michael Jordan's PER for the playoffs. LeBron's is 28.2. So that 9.86 represent the actual percentage of 28.6. Am I correct? So that's like
90, so he's 98.6.
98.6%
of where Jordan's at,
and you just turn it into a point average, which makes it
to like a whole number basically.
Okay, exactly. So it works the same way with all the other one. Like the being that he's win shares is number 1, he just gets 10 points for that because that's his 10 points. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So he gets a perfect score basically.
All right. So that's how these numbers are all calculated. So that's how Jordan has 7.9, and all of these numbers eventually average out at the end. LeBron has 9.5. Jordan ends up with 7.9, and so on and so forth. So, but I see you added the 100th decimal on some, but not on others. Why did you do that? Did you notice that?
Yeah, if it was like 7.89, I just round it to 9, basically. But I didn't do it for everyone. I did it for players that were close to each other. So if they were close to each other, they need to see if someone is a 60 and someone is an 80, there's no point of
Yeah,
doing
and
all
I
that.
could.
But if someone says 81.10 and someone's at 81.15, you have to do
Yeah.
the decimal points. I ex- I did the decimal points for Michael and LeBron for sure because they're so close to each other.
Yeah, and I can see you actually use the competitive ranking system instead of the dense ranking system that I used before. So there you go, guys. We're not being biased. We use all the systems around here. We try to make it the best. We try to be the most objective GOAT conversation alive. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right. All right. So we get to the postseason accomplishments, and you get, 1 point for finals, 1.5 for titles, and 2 for finals MVPs. Since Bill Russell did not have any finals MVPs because those was not available, I didn't want to just give him a perfect score for it, but he has a perfect score in everything. So he has the most. He has the most, period. So I don't think it was necessary. Michael Jordan's, he's now number 2. I don't think no one will argue with that
There they are.
in the
They are.
postseason.
They are.
But if I did, the finals MVPs, if I just gave um, Russell a 0, he probably still would have been ahead of Jordan. But still, Jordan's number 2, Kobe's number 3, LeBron's 4, Magic's, right there. You got Kareem. And Tim Duncan is, continuing to be higher than Shaq, which is a shock. Wilt Chamberlain is last. That's obviously only has 1 Finals MVP, 2 titles, so he was going to be last. So in the postseason, this is where you know, you have to do basically. All right, so you have to win in the postseason. So now we get to who's the postseason champ. It's Bill Russell. Bill Russell is the postseason champ. He has the most points because of what he did with the postseason awards. Postseason awards is counted as double. So the farther you make it, more titles, the finals MVPs, that's counted as double. So that's why Bill Russell is number 1. LeBron James is a few percentage points above Jordan. His totals, his advance, more finals. He 2 less titles, 2 less finals MVPs, but overall, LeBron James is a few percentage points ahead of Jordan. Kobe is 4th. Kobe's up there in 4th. He's the 4th best playoff performer of all time. Then you got Magic is ahead of Kareem. Steph is actually ahead of Bird, which is a shock. Bird is 10th. That was a shock for me.
Look, Magic in front of Bird. Yeah.
So that's a shock
Magic,
for me.
baby.
All right. So next we're gonna do the ranking system where everyone ranked at. Overall, Steph was a 12th.
Okay.
48 points. Bird was 11th. Bird was outside the top 10.
Bird got knocked out of the 10. Wow.
Yeah, Bird got knocked out of the top 10.
Wow.
Hakeem was number 10th. So Hakeem is actually in the top 10 over Bird.
Okay.
Then you got Shaq is 9th.
The Diesel.
You got Magic as 8th, which is a complete shock for me. But he was like, what, 10th on your list? Like,
no, he was 10th. He was 10th on my list.
That's crazy. Like, I didn't think that was gonna happen. All right. Then you got Kobe 7th. In the modern day, he's top 5 if you take out Bill and Wilt. But overall, he ranked higher than Shaq, Magic, Bird, Steph. He ranked higher than a lot of people. Tim Duncan 6th, which is I didn't really think he was gonna be above Shaq at all, but he's significantly above Shaq. Then you got Wilt as number 5. His postseason scoring was pretty low, but his overall his regular season what boosted him up pretty high.
Wilt Chamberlain, man, Thanos.
Then you got Kareem as number 4.
Wow, Kareem ended up
being
4.
Kareem ended up being number 4. It's just like I said, the postseason it was make you an all-time great, and this is showing why the postseason is valued. And then you got number 3 was Bill Russell. You have to respect the champion. What he did in the postseason is pretty amazing. His regular season wasn't the highest, but it wasn't low. He was up there. He dominated his era. He won 5 MVPs for a reason in his era. So You know, it shouldn't be a shock that he's ranked this high, but it's a shock for a lot of people that he is. They have him like number 9 or 10th on the all time in the ESPN ranking, and they put Oscar Robertson in it, which is like, what standard did they use? Like, that doesn't even make any sense to me.
Yeah. No,
All right, so this is what the ranking is without LeBron and Jordan. I know everybody want to see where these two ranked at, but this is the ranking system. But you can see the points. You can see how significantly better number 3 is than number 12. And, you know, as we go down, you know, Kobe is significantly higher than Steph Curry. Steph Curry's still playing. So, but still, Steph Curry's in his 13th year, Magic in his 12th year. Look how high he was. So I don't believe Steph Curry should be mentioned in the top 10 yet. All right, so this is LeBron James. Everything he did, all the calculations he has, he scored a 82.72, which will be, you know, I did it to the 100 decimal point. So, you know, someone said this is not sure. It's 4 key category turnovers. Like, I don't know why I would include turnovers.
Key categories. You already said key categories.
Yeah, key categories.
What makes it key categories? That's why you use bias. Like, how does that become
like
a key
these
category?
wasn't even, you know, available, you know, all the time with all these players. Like, you couldn't add these players, these categories to Bill, Will, Kareem. So that's why I didn't include some of them, because they were not available to them. So,
and turnovers, as if turnovers is going to help anybody. Like, it's like,
yeah.
again, this is the greatest of all time. So let's use stuff that we talk about players being the greatest.
I mean, so what we gonna put? Shaq is number 1 for turnovers because he don't handle the ball. I mean, makes some sense. Makes sense. I don't even make any sense.
Listen, that's
Bill Russell number 1 for turnovers. He don't even handle the ball.
That's somebody who's clearly told me that we can't be non-biased, but they're asking us to be non-biased.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't create these stats. The NBA, these are the NBA stats.
Yeah, these are the stats. These are what matter. Like you said, these are the things, especially winning. For you to say winning doesn't matter, and being in the finals and winning the finals doesn't matter, and all this other stuff, because it doesn't favor you, because Bill Russell is, you know, the greatest winner of all time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's arguing that. That's what it is.
Protecting the ball. So you're saying you're saying Shaq is the greatest ball handler of all time. Okay, I get you. I get you. You saying Shaq is the greatest ball handler of all time.
Well, if protecting the balls is more important, then we should add the turnover to assist ratio, because that's really the factor there. If we want to go there. You see what I'm saying?
Like I said, that was not, all those stats was not available.
It's the greatest of all time. There's nothing great about turnovers or talking about turnovers. You guys love to talk about negative aspects of basketball.
I mean, it's so many statistics that I included. You want to talk about turnovers. All right, so this is LeBron James. This is what he ranked. So he ranked higher than, you know, the other players. All right, so let's go to Jordan. So like I did, I went to the 100 decimal points. So this is Jordan. So let's see who ranks number 1. So this is the weirdest thing I ever seen. Both of them ranked.
Okay. And what's the thousandth decimal?
I know both of them ranked. You know, but you know, this is crazy. Both of them ranked 82.72. 82.72.
And they both got over 40 in each category.
Yeah. They both ranked the same of all time.
That's incredible. That's a real, like I said, when you told me what you was doing and you broke it down a little bit to me, I knew it was going to be something special. That's a real intricate list. So Jordan and LeBron are tied for number 1 on B. Lee's unbiased, completely objective, greatest NBA career ever. With his criteria, what he broke down, no biases. He used everything that you can use that we can all talk about when we talk about the GOAT conversation. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. He said conspiracy, bro, conspiracy. Listen, if you guys think that B. Lee spent 2 or 3 days doing all these numbers to get to 80 points, 72, 82.72 to make a tie. Come on, guys. This is what it is. It is what it is. These are the numbers, but what he did it by. Again, I used a system where I gave points for certain accolades and certain accomplishments. He basically gave you points based on the greatest accomplishments.
He said it's an exclusion of stats.
What's an exclusion of stats and or arbitrary weighting system? I mean, again, you guys are more than welcome to challenge us with a better criteria that is non-biased, okay, and use everything that like we use, because we basically threw everything on the table. I mean, he even used advanced stats. I didn't want to use advanced stats because I was like, if we got to go to advanced stats, your boy ain't the GOAT. You see what I'm saying? That's just it. I can take Kareem being the GOAT with my criteria because it's he is really one of the most accomplished NBA players of all time. So I can't argue your list, man. Chad, what's going on? I see you've been nodding your head. I know you got a lot to say. Come on, man. Come with it. Come with it, man. Come with it.
You want to hear my list?
Yeah, come on. Tell us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 10, Jerry West.
Yes. Good job.
Number 9, Dr. J.
Boom. Okay.
Number 8, Hakeem Olajuwon.
All right.
Tim Duncan, number 7. Bird, 6. Jordan, 5. Wilt, 4. Lou Alcindor, 3. LeBron, 2. Bill Russell, 1.
Boom. Boom. See? And if you can just give us
I didn't go into all the advanced stats and all that stuff like that. I did mine based on a little bit of everything, man. Rings, and I gave Bill and Will credit for at the time that they didn't have the awards and the statistics. It's just overall, like who was your teammates? Who did you have to face, and just everything all around.
Okay. I mean, we both did the criteria. What you just said about Bill Russell, right? Because a lot of people like to disrespect Bill Russell and just say he just has the 11 championships. They really don't look at his stats, right? As far as a center, I believe he's top 5 in assists per game. I think him and Wilt Chamberlain are 1 and 2 in assists per game as far as centers go. Obviously, we know he averages over 22 rebounds per game. Okay, you know what I'm saying, which is big. All right, he averages 15.9, which is basically 16 points per game. That's good. Like, people don't understand that's, you know what I'm saying. Like the way they talk about Bill Russell is if he wasn't doing nothing on the basketball court but just winning championships with great teammates. It's really disrespectful. So I never really argue Bill Russell too much. Or like we said, we don't argue Michael Jordan that much. It's really your criteria.
A lot of people don't know. They talk smack about Bill Russell, and they don't really think about. Look at who he faced in those finals. He faced, the logo, Wilt Chamberlain, and all the Atlanta Hawks had 6
this
Hall
dude
of
is still
Famers.
talking about turnovers.
Yeah, he did. He faced that Hawks team, right, with Bob Pettit and all those great players that were on that team.
6 Hall of Famers on that team, and on top of it, man, there was only like 8 teams in the league that year, 18 teams or something like that. It wasn't a lot of teams, but that tells you right there that everybody in there, regardless of how you think that they are athletic or not, there's a very few positions. So you had to be good to fill those positions. So the talent was thicker, just like what Ajani was doing, where he was talking about the watered down 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You got 18 teams in the league. Yeah, they didn't play as many rounds, but when you made the playoffs, man, you was the best team. Like I said, man, the Hall of Famers, there's a bunch of teams that had 4 or 5 Hall of Famers other than the Celtics on those teams.
Yes,
indeed. Correct. You are right.
I mean, that's why I put that man at number 1,
Well, he's not number 1 in the postseason for sure. That's not a question about that. The regular season, he's still ranked high in the regular season.
This is what I'll do. I challenge anybody. I can name 7 NBA finals that will guarantee Bill Russell would have won the finals MVP.
And he already had 5.
Yeah, and I challenge you to tell me which player was actually better than him in those 7 finals out of the 11 that they won. And another thing that you brought up is that we have to stop like discrediting them because of the 8 teams or the athleticism or the skill level. You can't really. You have to understand that they were at the highest at that point. So that is what we're gonna that's how we have to judge them. How great was they at that point? How what I'm saying? What was the best players at that time and what they were doing? Bill Russell was one of the best. He was one of the greatest on the basketball court. So
Jerry West won a Finals MVP losing to him.
And that's why. And
Yeah,
that's why.
Jerry West won a Finals MVP, but he's only won one title, no regular season MVPs.
But
So that's why he's not in my top
but
10.
He's got two. But doesn't he have two Finals MVPs?
He got one.
Did he get the Finals MVP when he won?
No, Wilt did.
Wilt got it that year. Wilt got one and he got one. But
he just doesn't measure up to the other players.
Yeah. The thing about Jerry West was obviously Jerry West was a a star in his era. They wanted him to be the face of the league. That's why he became the logo. But think about that. They gave him the
finals in 14 years, man. Like I said, that's why I put him at 10. 9 finals in 14 years.
I got him. I believe Jerry West is 13 or 14 on my list. I know Jerry West would have more points if there was a 3-point line. So, but there's a lot of things that hold him back. He was actually good on defense too. He was a great passer. He was a great player, man. These guys were great players. They were very skilled. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of athletic players that can't put the ball in the hoop. You guys know that. You know what I'm saying? It's a skill to play basketball. And there's some of those players from that era, we could say these guys have the skill. But I get what Brandon is saying too, because I thought about Oscar Robertson, I thought about Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. These guys don't have MVPs like that. They don't have multiple MVPs. They have the All-Stars and the All-NBAs, but they don't have the.
See, there again, that's why I have Westbrook, because West was playing in the time that you did have Bill Russell, you did have Wilt Chamberlain. So a lot of times, and other players, man, that he's not always going to win a season MVP. Just like how is Russell Westbrook a 60 gets a triple double and is the league MVP when Oscar Robertson over 5 years literally averaged a triple double in 5 seasons?
Yeah, I believe between 1960 and 1973, which would have been Jerry West's most prominent years, and Oscar Robertson and them, Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won like 10 MVPs in that span, like those 10.
That's
12,
what I'm saying.
12,
so I can't fault Jerry West for playing against those guys and not have a league MVP.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He has competition. You're right. That's what, so but that's the level of subjectiveness. You have to have the knowledge to do this, right? You have to be a real fan. You have to appreciate that, to say that, not only did Jerry West, play against all these great players, he was actually one of those great players of that era. So yeah, the competition level was thick in the 60s for sure. For sure. What did you find out, Brandon, about the assists? How many did you see?
I didn't look who has the most as a center, but I
know out of all the big men here, Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell is 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true, because because Bill was 4.3, and let me see what Wilt's at.
I think Wilt's at 4.6,
3.9, 3.9
for his career. It's not 4.
No, my bad. It's 4.4. My bad. It's 4.4.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. He has 4.4, and that's high for a center. And those guys.
And Bill is 4.3, so they're pretty high. Yeah, for centers.
Yeah, because I know Tim Duncan's like 3. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is like 2.7, and the Shaq's like that too, under 3. And I think Akeem is somewhere around 3, 2 assists per game. Mm-hmm. So those guys were great. All right, so now this guy's saying we have win shares per 48 data for all players on record. He wants to add win shares per 48.
Okay, do it.
And how does that help Jordan? He's gonna. That's the one thing that's gonna help Jordan. He thinks it's gonna help Jordan.
I mean, they just finding everything to help Jordan.
And that's the point of them being biased. They want to count everything that Jordan did as something special. Like the guy wanted.
I didn't count triple doubles for LeBron. So in the postseason, regular season. Like there's a lot of stuff I didn't count for LeBron that he's ahead of, but
count playoff wins.
Yeah, I didn't count that. I didn't count a lot of things.
Yeah, we there's a lot of things we can do to add for LeBron. You know what I'm saying? So, But obviously, you know what? I let me see your top 10 list all together again. The top 12, all of it. So Michael Jordan, LeBron tied. Then it's Bill Russell, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Magic, Shaq. That's crazy. So Kobe, God rest his soul, man. I guess I do be really tripping on Kobe, man. I just don't like the way he did Shaq. That's always been my beef with Kobe, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he had more championships in his thing, but he just
He didn't want to be Pippen. You see how Pippen get disrespected all these years,
but
and also Shaq wasn't willing to say, "Okay, Kobe, you can take
he
over."
was not at this time. 2 years later, yeah, all he had
Yeah,
to wait was 2 more years, just 2 more years.
yeah,
Shaq
I
was
don't
ready to
think
give it up. Shaq was ready to give it up there, but then
Shaq gave it up as soon as he left LA. He should have did it. But they got into it, and that last final, Kobe just wouldn't pass Shaq the ball, so they had to be split up after that fiasco versus the Pistons.
yeah, and you know what? That's good. That's karma on Shaq for doing Penny that way too, because he left Penny high and dry, kind of the
Yeah,
same way too. So Shaq was a kind of a diva, but that's but that's the subjectiveness that we all have when we
Well,
talk basketball.
Shaq's a diva talking about he didn't know if he could join players. This man played with Penny Hardaway. He played with Kobe Bryant. He played with LeBron James. He played with
Dwayne Wade.
Wayne Wade, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Steve Nash. I mean, that's the ultimate team jumper and trying to pick the top players in the league to play with.
Mm.
Because the players unnamed, who is LeBron's teammates that could compare to the players that I just named?
Well, the only thing that they say is he had 7 top 75 players in year 19. That's all they're gonna talk about because that's all they know. They think this 2012. They don't realize it's
They
2022.
just see, they don't watch the games.
As
They
by the
just
way,
see the names on the
a-
back of the jersey. That's all it
as of
is.
right now, Carmelo Anthony isn't signed on a team. I don't believe Dwight Howard is on a roster or on
No,
a team. Nobody even wants Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is untradeable. You can't even hand over Russell Westbrook for a bag of Doritos.
but in year
But
19, Jordan would have won a title with those guys.
Yeah.
oh my God, Jordan
And then
handpicked his team in Washington and couldn't win with them. At
you know,
least
I
you know.
I was watching something. They have LeBron rated number 6
Mm-hmm.
in the ESPN, and they was complaining that someone would say he shouldn't probably be that high. He should be lower. I mean, he should probably be like number 8 or after, because what he did on the court when LeBron was on the court, they wasn't you know their plus or minus wasn't as high or something, but they just ignoring who he was playing with. Completely ignore who he was playing with. Like LeBron was giving up all the points. Like
Man.
he averaged 30 points a game. Like, what do you want him to do? Block everybody? Like the other 4 guys are giving up layups after layups. So they want to, like, they're unrealistic with LeBron. Period. In year 19, they're still unrealistic with LeBron.
Yeah, well, we talk about it. That's why GOAT James Kingdom exists, right? Because we want to talk basketball without all the hatred, without having to
Let me
talk
see.
turnovers. Like they want to talk about the negative aspects, but then when we bring up the negative aspects of Michael Jordan's game, it's you're a hater. You don't know nothing about
Yeah.
basketball. When we say, Michael Jordan taking 23 shots per game is ball hogging and bad basketball, it's no, that's what you're supposed to do. You're the GOAT. Well, you're the GOAT. You take all the shots and all this other stuff. And that's what I do when I go on the court. When you go on the court, you probably lose. There's no record of how many times you lose jacking up shots on a basketball court. So you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's like and this is how Brandon and I got together, because basically the idea is that whatever Michael Jordan did is considered the key stats. It's considered the greatest things that you can do.
And it's so funny. In all of these categories, Michael Jordan is not number one in one of them.
And you know what? And it's the same thing for me too. When we go to these categories and we list all of the things that I stated, there's not one category that Michael Jordan is number 1 at, but he scores high in them, because obviously Michael Jordan is great, but he doesn't. Besides the accolades, he actually had the most accolades, but he didn't score the most because he doesn't have the most rings. He doesn't have the most MVPs. He doesn't have the most All NBAs, which would get you the most highest points in these categories. But as far as the actual numbers, he doesn't have the most in either category. But he scores high because Michael Jordan is a great player. He's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He should be in anybody's top 5, top 3 for sure. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you're biased. You know what I'm saying? If you're biased, Mike should be in your top 3. But if you're going to be, non-objective or whatever like that, I mean, non-subjective and completely unbiased, I believe, both Brandon and I weight is actually great.
Yeah.
It's really a good way to
You
do
know,
it.
you go by the averages, it's not Jordan. You go by the totals, it's not Jordan. Advanced stats is not Jordan. Awards is not Jordan in the regular season. You go to postseason, the averages is not Jordan. Totals is not Jordan. Advanced is not Jordan. Awards and accomplishments is not Jordan. So why are we measuring everything off of what Jordan did? He's not the greatest in none of them. I mean, Chad got him as number 5. I mean, he's not the greatest in none of them. I think Michael Jordan, LeBron is, 1A and 1B. If someone says Jordan is the greatest, okay, that's what you think. That's your opinion. That's great. Chad got to be number 5. That's him. Okay. Yeah.
I don't see Michael winning in the 60s. Don't see it. I can see him winning in the 70s. Clearly, he didn't win in the 80s. Yeah, he won in the 90s, but I don't see him winning in the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. Not 6. And not 6-0.
If he has Pippen, he has a great chance.
There again. You know what I'm saying?
Like, okay, Jordan's Bulls team versus, the Celtics and the Lakers. The Celtics Lakers will win majority of the
Bulls
time.
team is the greatest team of all time. Ain't nobody doubting that.
What?
That's the greatest of all. But
the 76 Bulls? I mean, 96 Bulls?
96, 97, 98, 92, 91, 93. I mean, just those teams, even with that's what kills me about Horace Grant, man. That man is a Hall of Famer, bro. He is a Hall of Famer.
They probably never put him in it, though.
No, they're not going to.
Never. Yeah, they probably
That's just it's like they try to hide behind the fact that George Garvin and Robert Parrish was top 75 players, but they don't count for top 75 teammates that Jordan had.
No, they don't. They don't count at all. But that's what I'm saying. That's where the bias starts at, and that's why we have to always check these people, because they always trying to utilize anything to make Michael Jordan. That's what you have to talk. Everything that makes Michael Jordan great. You even have to use that against other players. And at the end of the day,
if Jordan had Grant or Rodman, he would have beat those Rocky teams. Without them two, no, he wouldn't have beat them.
This guy said, I'm telling you right now, Michael Jordan was not beating the Houston Rockets those back-to-back championships. And I don't think so, too. I think if they would have beat Orlando in 95 and had to go up against the Rockets in the finals, they would have lost that
but
finals.
What I'm saying is if Jordan faced them with Grant or Rodman, they would beat them. But without them, he ain't beating them.
Oh. We never got a chance to see that.
He's not beating them.
As someone say, even though, he's, a LeBron James fan, I don't think there's a GOAT debate. No matter what facts you bring to the table, it would always people say that there's different, but you can't change facts. I mean, I guess there's one dude, Clay, been going on a rampage about LeBron and Jordan. I don't, they're one. They're tied.
They said that
they're
LeBron's
tied.
not even top 25. Like, what the fuck's that dude smoking?
That's probably that dude who says he's not top 25. But
somebody said Jordan's not top 25.
That was a lot of people say Jordan. LeBron. There's a lot of people say LeBron not top.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying, because it's a lot of hatred, right? It's a lot of they can't, it's easy to hate on LeBron because that's the hip thing to do. It's cool. It's fun. You get on the internet.
You're not winning 2-3 peats in 8 years in this era. Of course you're not.
You don't win it in no era, because only the 90s was available for that. Like Chad brought up several weeks ago, between 1988 and 2003, you had 4 separate teams literally repeat, or 5 separate teams repeat, and that's more than all of NBA history put together.
And
just between those 13, 14 years.
3 3-peats in 12 years.
In 12 years.
In 12 consecutive years, 3 3-peats.
Yeah. And again, that's the transition era of the NBA, right? That's David Stern's NBA, right? The Lakers end up winning back-to-back in 88 and 87. Then you get Detroit, that goes back-to-back. Then the Bulls get a 3-peat. Then Houston gets a 3-peat. Then the 2-peat. Then the Bulls get another 3-peat. Then you get a lone championship, and then you get another 3-peat. And then you don't get another back-to-back champion until the Lakers in 2010 and 2009. So you have them, the Heat. You have the Warriors,
yeah, and that's it.
Really it. And then you have the what's it called? Then you have the Celtics of the 60s, right? And nobody else went back to back in the 70s. No, I don't know about the 50s. I don't know. I don't know about Miken's team. I know Miken has 5 championships, but I don't know if it's all in the NBA in the 50s. But again, this is what we like to do. You guys want to comment all the time, and we appreciate you guys coming on our page, commenting. Our page is actually open up for debate. You guys can comment all day, but if you want to debate Brandon and I, you got to come here. This is where you can come out and you can tell us what you want. They say all that bias and arbitrary exclusion of stats, and they still tied. He said they still tied. But you didn't say that on my list. On my list, Jordan is third. So if we average it out, LeBron James, it's like I say, it's going to be LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan. That's the top 3 for everybody's GOAT. And, obviously for Chad, Bill Russell's his. But this is what we do. You guys want to debate us. This is where you debate us. You come right here every Sunday, 12 noon. We'll go for an hour. We'll discuss basketball like grown men. And y'all can go back to your life, which is what we're about to do right now.
Bring your own list with you.
Yeah,
bring your own list with you.
And criteria.
And make sure you don't exclude any stats. I want to see everything.
Yeah, I want to see you guys bring up something better, and you more than likely can do that. We're gonna post everything on our Facebook. You guys can.
I want to see how many steps they took coming out of the tunnel. They took more steps coming out of the tunnel.
And you guys can catch us on TikTok, Facebook, IG. We on Twitter. We obviously on YouTube. We're GOAT James Kingdom. This is B. Lee and Ajani. We'll catch y'all boys next week as we get ready for football Sunday. Y'all stay great, man. Y'all stay beautiful and stay hating. But LeBron James is still the GOAT.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he still lost more than he should have won. And what about Jordan? So Jordan was only supposed to win 6 times. That was Jordan's career. When Jordan's career started, it was going to be 6 titles, and that's it. He didn't want no more than that.
Yeah, he only played 6 years.
And Magic Johnson averaged more turnovers in the regular season, postseason than LeBron too. But I guess Magic's terrible too, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good.
Exactly. Watch they bring up, well, Magic could pass the ball, so can LeBron James. Get the hell out of here with that, man. So y'all have a good Sunday. We'll see y'all next week. Look out for our clips and our posts on Facebook and all our platforms, YouTube and TikTok. Y'all be good, bro. See y'all next week. Yep.